This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Sissy O'Grady's one of those young Southern belles from the wrong side of the tracks, posing as a debutante from the upper side of the crust. You see, things money can't buy, she doesn't need. So, when the 110-year-old billionaire she was dating died and left all his money to his children, Sissy didn't know what she and her poodle Gigi were gonna do. I mean, all they wanted was a little old mansion in the hills with a couple of 100 acres of manicured lawns, maybe a nice old pool, and a nice young pool boy. And a husband to pay for it all, of course. So, when an extremely eligible-looking young bachelor ran into her while she was window shopping at the jewelry store, I mean, there's no better place to go casting for the big fish now, is there? Well, that Sissy didn't lose any time. She faked a fainting spell right then and had the boy helping her into a very expensive restaurant for a restorative lunch, where she claimed to have misplaced her pocketbook before you could whistle Dixie. And the young gentleman seemed all too obliged. He was handsome, charming, and most important, he had that air about him that said rich, rich, rich. Sissy was as close to love as a girl with a stone heart can get. Gigi, on the other hand, well, the pooch had a pedigree rather similar to Sissy's. A sordid past at the pound covered up by a good haircut and a real sassy wiggle in her walk. But that fuzzball had street smarts, and they told her that this new fella was no good. Things couldn't have gone any better for Sissy. The boy wasn't exactly throwing money around, but just by the way he talked about wine and dropped the names of people called Van something and Deela something else, Sissy knew she'd hit it big. But it wasn't long before Sissy cooed and coaxed and cuddled her way into an all-expense-paid 7-night cruise. They would go together. And then if all went according to plan, Sissy'd have that guy signed, sealed, and delivered before they ever got back to port. One quick ceremony by the captain at sea, and a solid gold future would be her very, very own. But things didn't go according to plan. Mr. Wright was called away to an emergency board meeting just as the ship was going to set sail, and Sissy was forced into the awkward position of going on what she hoped would be her wedding cruise, all on her own. Luckily, this left one Mr. Wright free to dog-sit with Gigi. So things weren't all that bad, or so our little gold-digger thought. 1 week later, Sissy returned home to the most horrible fright. There was Gigi, lying on the living room floor, barely breathing. Sissy rushed her to the vet just as quick as her leash jag could go. Things didn't look so good. They told her to head back home. It would be better to get the news there. So Sissy got home quicker than anyone expected, and that's when she noticed her apartment was not the same as she had left it. Her imitation Renoir was missing, and so was her discount store antique rug. Her crystal zirconia necklace wasn't in its fake Naugahyde box. In fact, all of her faux jewelry and imitation fur coats were out of their usual places and stacked by the back door just like someone had been planning to make off with the whole stash. And then she noticed a trail of blood, little dots, all the way to the fake French provincial bedroom closet door. But just as Sissy pulled on the simulated ceramic knobs, the phone rang. It was the vet. And boy, did he sound freaked. He'd found out what was wrong with poor little Gigi, all right. Poor darling had something caught in her throat. Funny thing is, that something was a severed human finger. Well, Sissy would have fainted, but she didn't have time, because just then the closet door swung open and huddled inside was her so-called dreamboat. Mr. Wright hoped to be future husband, but it was going to be hard marrying the guy considering he was a thief and, worse yet, now he didn't even have a ring finger. This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Gigi made a full recovery, of course. She and Sissy are working on this poor little girl act now. I mean, what's the point of being a gold digger if you attract guys looking to make it rich?